Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Help the Helpers. And today we're going to have part 2 of embodied relating, which is the third practice. You know, if we think of focusing as the first and listening as the second, then relating is our third practice that Jean Genlin didn't really develop, and we're developing it. So I'm very pleased to be with you. Actually, the universe gave us this time because we weren't scheduled to have part 2, but the speaker this morning had to postpone. So we got this gift from the universe of really putting into practice in a more substantial way the ideas that we talked about last time. So let's take a breath together and a stretch. And I'm just going to talk to you. Good morning, Charles. I'm just going to talk to you for a few minutes this morning and review some of the things that we said last time and say maybe a couple of more things. But the bulk of this meeting will be our conversation with each other. We will be having a community empowerment group this morning, which means that we'll be having a conversation, and you may say, well, what is the conversation about? And one of the things that's most important about relating as a focusing practice is that the about isn't as important as the process. So we can say, oh, we're having a conversation about relating, but we don't know because we're following the implicit. We're following what comes. Remember when Jean says, you know, it has to come the way tears come, the way laughter comes, and our relating has to come. And we don't know exactly how it will come. That's a little bit scary when you're doing, you know, a reflection for a group or you're teaching, that even if you are very prepared, you don't know what will come out of your mouth. So we're going to trust in that, trust in the implicit. So the practice of relating in a focusing kind of way is trusting the implicit. And it's a conversation that is relying on this deeper, broader, embodied self that we are. That's much more than rational, much more than we can plan, much more than logical, much more than the little notes that I put down on my iPad. So I want to emphasize today that relating is a practice. And what we mean by a practice is that it doesn't have a purpose only, it has a meaning. I love that distinction that Brother David Stendhal Rast makes, which is that purpose is something that we do to get it done. We do it for this purpose. We sweep the floor so the floor is swept. Meaning is something that we do for itself. It gives us something very precious. So we usually don't sweep the floor if it doesn't need to be swept, just because it's meaningful to do that. Although actually, my partner always did that, and her father just ritually swept the floor after dinner. So I shouldn't use that example. But you don't sing a song in order for it to be sung. You sing a song because of the singing. And in a way, relating is like taking a walk for the sake of taking a walk together. It's not to get somewhere to a particular destination. I think of Ram Dass as saying, we're all just walking each other home. And that's what we're going to be doing this morning, is we're going to be taking a walk together and walking each other home. And we don't know where exactly. We're going to walk together and see where we go and see what's there and be open to the experience. The experience, although it doesn't have an immediate purpose, we can say the purpose and the meaning are sort of one in a practice, because we're hoping that our practices will heal the world. That's certainly a big purpose, isn't it? But that's sort of in the big picture. It doesn't have an immediate purpose in the small picture. So I'm going to just review for you a little bit of what we talked about last time. And you could just come in and you could be stretching or drinking your tea while I'm talking to you. I asked Christine to put some notes in the chat. You could follow along if you want. But I'm hoping that I'm not going to talk too long. And in this Help the Helpers meeting, we are all going to be leading the group and following the group. And so maybe some of you could remind me that I've been speaking for 10 minutes. Because it's hard to speak and look at the time. Charles is smiling. You understand, don't you, Charles? Also, when we're
No
doing
problem.
conversation, I'd like all of us to be the leaders of the conversation in terms of nurturing the conversation, calling on people that you want to hear from or that are raising their hands. So this will be all of our responsibility. Okay, I'll be facilitating, but let's all facilitate the conversation. Okay, so for our little review, I've talked about the first point, which is that embodied relating is a practice. And a practice is something that we want to bubble over into our everyday lives. But our everyday lives are a bit different than a practice. So we want it to have that effect. But our way of doing it here may be different than our way of doing it in our ordinary lives. That's a point that is meaningful to Liz. The second point is that that in a community empowerment practice, we cherish diversity. We don't want a like-minded group. We want all the different minds. We want disagreement. Disagreement means that we have a healthy group. We want to be able to say the thing that you just don't say in this kind of a group, right? We want to be, we don't know there about the effect of all of that, but we want to be sensitive to the culture of the group, but we want to find a way of saying what's really there for us. And that's really important. So in a community empowerment group, We need people who understand us, who recognize us, who deeply understand us, and who validate us. And we can also have people who don't understand us, don't agree with us, don't like what we're saying. And the group makes that okay. We find a way as this organism of the group that's rooted in hoarding surprise. We find a way to make the diversity okay. That's the second point. The third point is that a community empowerment group is democratic, and Greg calls his version of this embodied democracy. And that means that we want all of the voices within us and all of the voices between us, right? And we welcome everything. But being in touch with ourselves as the sort of closest democracy, you know, within our own bodies, but then our bodies go way out to the group and to the world, and making a place and wanting all of the voices. The fourth point is that it's one that I have trouble really demonstrating, but I'm hoping we're going to do it today. That relating is following the thread from this to this to this. And those sequences of people speaking, those sequences are not linear. They don't go like this because we're following the implicit. They aren't even bidirectional. Even in therapy, it's not just bidirectional. It's going in all different directions. And to follow the flow of the conversation means we have to be in touch with the felt sense that goes in different places. And yet, what looks like chaos from the outside has an order, but it isn't a linear order. So we're looking for where the conversation is going, and we're trying to help it to move forward, all of us. So it may be that you have something that you want to say and you think, well, is it relevant? If it's there in you, then it's relevant. But you might not want to take a lot of time for it. You might want to just like in therapy, when you have something you want to say to your client and you're not sure it's relevant, you say it briefly and then see how if it goes somewhere, if it's thickening this soup that we're making. Another point that I should have actually put with democracy is that speaking is a very, very important part of relating. And we talked about speaking from the felt sense, speaking up when there is something, speaking to rather than speaking at, speaking for something you believe, speaking with the group. And it goes beyond taking turns. And that's very hard to learn. It's a difficult practice. But it's a practice that is rewarding in and of itself. Allowing ourselves to speaking, for some people, it's hard to speak up. For some people, it's hard to make what you're saying concise. And how am I doing in that department? Is my 10 minutes up? Has anybody been tracking that? I'm relying on you. Okay, I'm going to just see. When you wish that there was something in the conversation that's not there. Oh, I don't like how we're talking. someone said to me in my group class, it hurts me when someone says something and then somebody else goes right to their point, and that person is lost. What they said is lost. And can't we have a rule that we reflect before we speak? And I had said, well, what if you say, oh, that hurt me when so and so said that, and it was passed over seemingly. It's that being the interaction that makes it better, that it's all of us together that follows the flow. Then the last one is nurturing the us, nurturing the conversation. And we can do that, all of us, in so many ways. Just with a smile, just with a gesture on the computer, little hearts going up, just by saying, oh, so-and-so wants to speak. Of course, by saying what's in us to say, reflecting. There are many, many ways that we can nurture and carry forward the conversation. Okay, how did I do? Does anybody know how many minutes that was to review?
It was 9 minutes.
Oh, I have a minute. Wow. A whole minute. Well, let's see. What do I want to say in my minute? I want to say making it safe. People are talking about how do we make the conversation safe? We make it safe by being rooted in our bodies, by knowing that we can speak, by knowing that we can settle, and that if we can't settle, if we're triggered, somebody else can. We're doing this together, and that makes it safe, this togetherness. We're taking a walk together this morning in the woods, but we're following these implicit little signs of where the trail goes. Okay. Let's take a breath together. I know you have questions and things you want to say, and all of that's going to be in this time together. Let's check in with ourselves. Embodied relating gives us more and more of the intimacy we need in our lives, the sense of belonging that we need in our lives, the connectedness that we need in our lives, the understanding and feeling understood. These are our basic nutrients that we need as human beings to make our world a system that is self-organizing and that's moving forward. Okay, let's look now at the screen as part of our attunement to just look at who our companions are on this walk this morning. Good morning, Sophie and Liz.
Good morning.
I think we're ready to begin.
Many Liz's.
Yes. So anything that you have there in you? What's there for you? Jean would say, anything that you have is welcome. And
Laura has a hand up.
thank you. This is the way we do it, right? Everybody is responsible.
Liz, thank you. What's here for me is like this much nervousness, but a lot of excitement and also some interested curiosity. Something you said, Lynn, in a previous class is that we want our balls to be caught conversationally. Like you say something
Yes, exactly. We want to be able to throw the ball and catch the ball, right? And
have somebody catch our ball. Yeah.
yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And you also said something about that we could say one thing so that people have a chance to catch our ball.
Yes.
And that just like, whoa. That really helped me because I tend to say 5 things in a complicated way. So I'll put that in practice by making that one my one thing.
Now I'm curious about what the other 4 things are. I'm participating in this conversation, so you might not want to. If you want to direct your comment to me, say Lynn, blah blah blah. But this is a conversation for all of us, and I'm assuming that Laura was directing that to all of us. And my response of I'm curious was just me, Lynn, not the leader.
Liz has her hand up.
Nashira has her hand up first, though.
Hi. Thanks, Liz.
Hi.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Lynn. I just wanted to add to what Laura was saying, which was I also feel anxious this morning. I woke up with just a lot of anxiety, and I'm not sure why, and also kind of a deep vulnerability this morning. So yeah, so I'm just sitting with that this morning. And the one thing you said that I can definitely relate to that, because when I say the 5 things, oftentimes it's with a lot of emotion, and I can sometimes see in my audience, or whoever it is I'm speaking at, because I'm saying the 5 things. I can see the sparks of wanting to respond. And so by stepping back and giving the space after that one thing, I feel like there'll be a deeper dialogue. Thank you.
So I guess I'll go now, and I wanted to start by doing a little reflecting of Nashira.
Thank you.
It was a lot. I started to take a note, but then I didn't continue. But I got the very anxious and deep vulnerability as your background, Nashira. So I wanted to acknowledge that.
Mm.
And
Thank
then
you, Liz.
you're welcome. And I feel that I guess, Lynn, you were saying that everything is welcome. And I really don't I don't believe that. I just don't believe that. And not everything is welcome anywhere.
Mm.
And also for me, there's a trick in it because I know that not everything is ever welcome. And there are situations where you're told that everything is welcome. Don't take the bait. You could be in trouble if you actually believe that. So I'm very aware of needing, you could hear the hesitations, constant editing. And I think I've made progress in that I used to think I was the only one. My progress is I believe that everybody, most people here and everywhere are doing that. I just don't think anywhere anything is welcome. That's it.
I saw Nurit's hand.
Okay, I want to speak whenever it's available.
Charles?
Marie can go. Yeah.
I think Charles, your connection might be unstable.
Connection's unstable?
Oh, okay. I think you were speaking. I just wanted you to be able to complete your thoughts.
Oh, very quickly. Okay, well, just following up on what Liz is saying, I'm reminded of Freud's idea of free association. The idea was that you censor nothing, everything's welcome. And of course, Freud very wisely noticed that nobody ever freely associates. And that became the interesting point to notice when the free association was interrupted by something. And then we get curious about what the something is that is interrupting the free association. And also the other side of it, I thought is, well, let's say you're the analyst or the listener, and you notice at what point something isn't welcome that the other person is saying, and you make note of that. So this is a way of not denying or pretending that everything is welcome, but becoming aware of it and making it part of one's awareness as much as possible, because it's never completely possible. So I'd like to sort of broaden it to not just saying, don't take the bait, but notice those points. And you don't have to say anything aloud. Just noticing is already a step, I think. That's my thought.
Thank you, Charles. Before Nurit speaks, first you really elucidated for me what Liz said in a way that I could get my mind around it. And at the same time, as you were talking, I noticed my chest just heating up. And there's a part of me that likes to fight. And I could just feel that heating up because the other significant part of me wants to protect. And I want to protect Nurit's hand, having been up for quite a while. And I had a hard time hearing what you, Charles, were saying because of that. And of course, we can't see all the little hands. And I'm telling that part of me that wants to fight that. And so as Lynn said, I'm settling in my body that there was no intentional slight here. And that with Lynn in charge, I don't think anybody needs to be protected. And Nurit, please speak. I'm trying to get it out.
You for fighting for me. I love that. I love that. And I'm not used to that. So thank you. All I just wanted to say, when Laura was speaking, she said the word 5, but I haven't heard that. I heard, what I wanted to say, like the kind of listening that what do we really listen to? That's what caught my attention. I was listening to the energetic flow for example, but I haven't heard the word 5. Or I heard it, but it passed me by. And again, I'm bringing it up in these groups a lot, how I don't really relate to words as many of the people here, also because I'm used to work more with the body and less with the thought process. So I think I just wanted to bring it up as a way of what do we really listen to? Because I think we listen on many layers and we hear different things.
Share, it's maybe a little similar to what Laura was starting with, and maybe part of what Nashira was saying. I've coming into this class this morning, there was a sense of excitement, like, after Lynn was sharing what this was about. I missed the one you did, part 1. That was, I think, last week. I was with my grandkids, but so there was some excitement because I enjoy engaging in conversation with different viewpoints and truly trying to understand what that person is like. If it's different than what I understand, I want to learn some more. And so I'm curious and interested and engaged in that. At the same time, I felt that excitement. I also had this hesitancy. Like, I don't want to get into any embroiled battles, and just kind of wanted to share. It seems there's a common, maybe, hesitancy. And like Liz said, I don't know who said it about don't take the bait. And I myself have been in conversations where that's happened. I took the bait and it wasn't genuine, I guess, so to speak. So there's all that.
I want to see what happens when you take the bait. I mean, because often I think don't take the bait and then I don't take the bait. But at the moment, I want to see what happens when I do take the bait. I kind of feel that rather than a ball being thrown around, there are controlling forces around me. There's controversy about who's supposed to speak, and then controversy about whether and how one asserts it. And it's making me feel like I don't want to say anything because it feels dangerous to me. It feels like I'm not supposed to be saying these things or even thinking them. And I'm usually thinking them just like this. And I'm saying, oh, so-and-so is controlling and so-and-so wants to speak and there's all this going on. And instead, I say, what do I have to get messed up in that for? I'm just going to be quiet. And now I'm going to be quiet.
Jim, you remind me of what came up for me, which is giving myself permission. And that's what I just heard from you. You gave yourself permission. You weren't looking for permission. You gave yourself permission. And that I resonate with.
I'd like to say
Thank you.
something because it's sort of, maybe I missed something, but it seemed to me that, is it Nurit or Nurit? I'm not sure the right pronunciation, but that, oh, I thought you were going to correct me. It seemed like she was ready to speak, and then two people spoke before her, even though it had been acknowledged that it was her turn to speak. People talked anyway. And then when she did speak, nothing was reflected back. And I thought she was very gracious about it, and maybe it bothers me more so, but I find my attention fixed on that. Am I missing something here?
I also, can I say something? Yeah, I sense the very similar thing that you said. I actually wrote it down right now about not being reflected, being overlooked in a certain way, not belonging, that kind of a thing. So I'm really happy you said that. Yeah.
Oh, because I didn't speak after you because somebody else jumped in and talked about something completely different. But I found what you said very interesting and sort of expansive. You know, like what actually is being listened to? Are people just listening to themselves and then talking? Or is there a sense of expansiveness and inclusion of the group and not just what's being said, but you're inviting us to look more deeply and to feel and express more deeply. And wow, I thought that was terrific.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I love, Greg, that you were being the interaction that you wanted in the group, that you, in a way, felt pain at Norit's ball not being caught, and then you caught it.
Sophie?
So nice to be called on. Really feel seen. I wanted to say that sometimes the pause really help me to speak. It goes fast, maybe a little too fast, so that, you know, somebody else's ideas coming in, and so I was really resonating with a lot of things that you said, Norit, not so much that it's deeper, it's just other ways of listening. And that this format of Zoom is very audio and visual in a very small kind of a way with a face, and which sometimes is difficult for me. So I think I miss the in-person interactions and the space too, that is in between, that is all around, that is participating as well. When I say space, I mean, yeah, all that is in the space that's not us as well. So, but I love this initiative, Lynn, and I'm sure others, to have us try this way here, so we can take it out. Really appreciate that. I have more, but we, I think, go with one thing. Okay. I'll come back maybe another time. Bye.
I see Kevin.
And Kevin's muted.
Oh, I'm not muted. Jim, that is Jim there. This is all new to me, this conversation and this group. So I don't know what to say. So I'm going to take a moment to check inside, to enjoy that maybe there's something in me that would like to appreciate this conversation, which is different than everyday conversations, and particularly with often focusing, gathering conversations. Words for me, this is a heartfelt interaction. And it's the essence of the felt sense, what that means as an experience rather than as a thought. And it seems to be in play, using the word playfulness or catching the ball. It's different from the one that I presented last week about the ball game of the tennis. This is a different tennis game where there is no competition. There's a kind of mutual flow with one another. And that seems to be self-evident here. And of course, that's what I would desire in this kind of conversation, which is being modeled by Lynn and setting the space for this to evolve. I've always wanted to meet with Lynn because my focusing partner of 15 years, Greg Madison, has always wanted us to get together. Then I also learned that she has a sight issue, and I do too. I'm blind, kind of. I mean, I can't read or write, but I can see you and I can feel you. It's almost like I can't do this. And so this opens up to me. I can feel and see you differently. And I'm grateful for my handicap. So I'm thanking you for this time together. I may have to leave a little earlier because I do go on. I'm still working full time, so I have to go back to work and listen to somebody else at a point. But I just want to say hello and thank you for being here with me and you, us together, a we. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, for that wonderful ball that you threw to me and to the group. I feel very touched and very seen in terms of this conversation being something new that we can play with in the focusing world. You took it in so sensitively and wholeheartedly. Really appreciate that.
Well, Kevin, I'd like to say also that I was very touched by just even at the very beginning that you knew there was something but you didn't know when you took that pause. I think that really helped ground me. And now I'm reflecting back when I was speaking, I don't have the sense that I was coming from that place. I think some of my excitement was overtaking. So I feel more grounded and more more in touch bodily, embodied aspect. So thank you.
Kevin, I think the way I heard some of what you said was about taking in the energy in the group with that piece that, when you don't see fully, because I went through a period where my sight was very blurred and I got more dependent on what the energy was coming through, sometimes even more than the words. And it reminded me as a child, that's the way I think I took in the world, because I didn't often want the words coming at me. And I think Nurit also talked about this taking in the energy. And I think what happens sometimes is that my default seems to be hearing judgment. But as I sit here and just breathe a little more deeply, I can switch it to something else. It's a little bit of a new process for me, so I'm not sure yet how it works, but I really want it to work because the judgy place creates alienation, and I really don't want that from any of you. That's it. Thanks.
Dorothy, I think maybe you just gave a great example of what Lynn said toward the end in her little talk about how it's difficult to, she said it's difficult to capture how the conversation threads together somehow and wanting us to begin to notice that. And you picked up on first Nurit's speaking the word about energy. And then Kevin, you emanated it, you know, the energy, the intimacy that can come from this Zoom. And then Mary Ann also said, "Oh yeah, I get it now." And maybe that's not what I wasn't really having that energy at the time. And then when you spoke, Dorothy, I could see all of those coming to you. And then you added, "So why is it important to do that?" And you just hit it like because there's a judger inside that is your default, and you would like that judger to have some peace someplace so that you could enjoy the connection more. Does that say it at all? I don't want to speak for you on that part, the judgy part.
I think so. It's the judgy part's very interesting. As you said it, I thought you were saying that I was the judge, was standing out, but it was more the feeling of being judged.
Mm,
And even the subtlety of like, I was one of those that jumped in to represent Charles and felt judged that, oh, I didn't take in the group. I didn't see the whole. I just felt the energy of one person and wanted to support that one person. And it just gave me a little like lesson on something I do in my life. So it's more, I don't know, it's both. You know, you're always both parts, right? You're the judge and the feeling and the one being judged. And I just would like to move to a different place where that particular energy is in me. It was such a protective energy, protector, protective. And I would just like to move to a different place where that's not so on top. I think that's what I wanted to say, if that's clear. Thank you.
I had loved your term, Dorothy, the judgy place. And thank you for pointing that out about the conversation, BJ. You know, that judgy place is both being judged and judging. And I love that you said it's protective and it's a protector, and that, you know, we can settle and sort of let that rest a bit. That I really resonated to that judgy place being so primal, so part of our makeup as humans.
Yeah.
I wonder if someone could say, I'm sorry, Charles, were you about to speak? Do you want to say
No,
something?
go ahead. Go ahead.
I just was hoping some folks could say some more about, Lynn, I think you said finding safety in the body. Like, how do we be safe in relationship or in relating? And
being in the body, being embodied. If we could just kind of unpack that a little bit more. Almost, I mean, I guess what I'm thinking is, I don't know that I have great experience of even what it's like to be in my body or sensing that much when I'm sort of flying away, but that probably it's a good idea not to take much action or to have a lot of intercourse in the world if you feel like you're not in your body. It's best to maybe land before doing much. So just, I don't know if someone could just say a little bit about that. That's a big one for me. I can be dissociative or not quite in my body, and that's how I can manage being in the world. And then being in the body, certainly checking in and knowing, that doesn't feel good, or that does feel good is a great way to kind of know the temperature. Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Is it just right? Just kidding. It's never just right. But, how is it? And, but I just wanted some help with how do you get into your body, maybe? How do you land, and how does that keep us safe?
Seems like wonderful, wonderful questions for us to be taking some time with. Obviously, one thing is, of course, pausing, but that's sort of a little too simple, isn't it? Sensing, pausing, slowing down, being aware of our reactivity, giving ourselves compassion.
Breathing.
Breathing.
Breathing and smiling to oneself at what's inside, right?
I wanted to just thank Dorothy, because when you see, I just wanted to comment a little on an earlier interaction, because it seemed like I had jumped the line with Narit, and I had not been aware of that. I thought somebody had acknowledged me, and I took the ball. And then I felt terrible, because it seems a number of people felt that I had kind of jumped in and in front of Narit, and I had not meant to. And I appreciate Dorothy's acknowledging. I think you mentioned I knew somebody had mentioned my name as having had my hand up. I wasn't sure who. So really it helps to heal something inside for you, Dorothy, to mention that. I think it might have been you who mentioned me.
Yeah.
And I just thank you so much for that. Just feel my heart going out to you. It helps me to heal from what felt like a moment of shame or embarrassment.
Can I say something here? Again, I pause because we're addressing that key question of how do I feel safe inside myself? To know how to be in conversation with you in a way that's okay for me and perhaps for you. And I just want to deeply appreciate that's the core beginning place for all of us when we come into this world. What's safe? How do I find myself? And at 86, I had the opportunity to hold my grandchild, who was about a year and a half at that time. And I was handed to the baby, because we live in different worlds. One in Sweden, one in Canada. And what do I do with a baby? And I thought instantly, I just reassure the child, tell her how beautiful it is, and I love you, and all those things, something in my felt sense awareness said, no, let's not go there first. Let's just wait and see. And find myself basically pausing. And then the baby came alive. And it was obviously the energy in that child was looking for a connection that worked for it. And when it found it in me, it blossomed. It suddenly grew up and expanded. It found the connection is it needed as an infant. And I realized that's the way to grow. And it's not about me being loved by the baby, it's about the baby feeling safe enough to grow its own life. That's its purpose in life. Not to take care of me, but for me to be the source or the root or the presence to enable a child to grow. And I think we all looked for that as a beginning place. And none of us often receive that. And therefore we look at resources to be able to function in spite of that lack of grounding and safety and connecting. So I'm thank the baby for teaching me everything about life. Thank you.
I just want to apologize for disappearing in the middle of a sentence. My internet is unstable this morning.
I just wanted to say that I have tremendous appreciation for this conversation and for this occurrence. It brings me back into the place I grew up in. And I also wanted to thank Kevin for this beautiful, beautiful, soft relating piece. It was beautiful. But it brings me back to being in a group. I grew up in Israel where it was a society in war and a society in trauma. Mm. And the way we got together as a society when I was a little girl was everybody had to be the same. Mm-hmm. There was no diversity. Mm-hmm. There was no permission to be different. And I always suffered from that greatly. I couldn't be that way. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, in my being, it's like when I am in a group, I got to be like everybody else. Mm-hmm. It's not like, I mean, it's a subconscious thing. And this conversation is about being in a group in a way that is difficult, but it's nourishing and loving. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to bring it into this. And I also wanted to say something about the body, since I work with the body a lot. And the body, I think we carry so many. I think being in the body is not easy because we carry so many mythologies about the body. So many fears from the body, so many, we were brought up to believe that the body is not okay. And we trust the mind and we don't trust the body. So I find that I'm actually writing something about it now because I wanted to create a workshop about that. How to be in the body and recognize that it's not always feeling safe to be in the body, even though we think it is. So just wanted to bring it up as. And the last thing I wanted to say is about Eugene Gantlin, the way I like the idea of focusing because of the idea that eventually you end up in a place where you don't have words. It's not about the words, it's about the I don't know. When the boxes fall and something opens and it's new.
Mhm.
So thank you anyhow, Lynn, for this. Really, and everybody appreciate it so much.
As if the box is open, and something new comes.
Can I speak?
I
I'm
want,
raising my hand. Oh, somebody else wants to go?
I didn't raise my hand, Liz. You can go. I just went. Go ahead.
Having trouble following who's who in the boxes right now.
Oh, that
I have
was
a little trouble with the body stuff, so I wanted to just continue that. I never know what is meant by the body to begin with, let alone getting comfort in the body. I mean, it's not the body, you're not feeling your pancreas. It's something other than that. It's some kind of feeling of something that you associate with a concept or something. I don't even know what I'm talking about, which is the point. I know the term proprioception, which it means like the sense of your body. It's like another sense. Proprio is like proper, your own. Etymologically, it comes from sensing yourself. But I've never quite understood this kind of um can't think of the word, but idealization, but that's not really what I mean. The idealization of the body, that somehow we're in the mind, which is we're not supposed to be there that much, especially if you have any Buddhist inclinations. So then in focusing, you're getting into, well, there's this better way. That's the implication. And it's the body. And there's something there that has to do with I'm just, thinking it at this moment, improvising. There's something about that it's better, that it's idealized, that there's a sense of purity, that when people talk about it, just like before, they start bringing up babies, which is a huge symbol of purity. So there's something going on there that we're lost in our heads but I don't even know what it is. And I still think that there's something about the body as we talk about it that has some kind of meaning and implication that we don't ever really say, and we often don't know. And when you focus, sometimes you talk, and then the other person says, where do you feel it in your body? And that never quite has meaning to me. I don't know what what am I supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be sensing my pancreas? No, that's too deep. So we sense it in our muscle, we only have this shell. We can't. Obviously, I've said enough. I'm just trying to bring up that I don't know who really even knows what this body is. And that body work, people do body work, and there's something about that oh, I get deep. You know, it's just a mystery to me.
Somebody else can reflect, but Liz, thank you so much. That was just exquisite articulation of what it's like to not have any idea what are they talking about. So thank you. I'm glad that's going to be recorded. And I'm sorry too. I hear the frustration.
I'm going to jump in. Kind of, and it's like, okay, I've made the sound. It's like that splash. I certainly, so it's hi Liz and hi everyone that's talking, because I feel it's in my body what I have heard in this conversation, and how do I acknowledge them, because I felt, and I just wondered what would it be like to be held by Kevin. Like a baby, and in that way it's kind of like, I know that it was your grandchild, Kevin, was it? Was your grandchild? That's what I heard. So you wouldn't be holding me like your grandchild. But the fact that I've even kind of risked that sort of intimacy, because when you talked about the pause and not actually needing to soothe the baby and the baby coming alive, I really sensed the difference about that, yeah. And well, whether it was grandfather or it didn't matter, it's a different sort of holding. So, and even though I say, I wonder what it'd be like being held by you, I'm actually trusting that you are holding me. So I just want to take that risk of a different being received without words. So much love, and Cuivine, we call Kevin over here in Ireland, Cuivine, Gramor.
What was that, Pauline? Cuivine? What?
Cuivine is Kevin in Gaelic. Gramor is much love. So.
I'd like to respond to Liz about the body. It's a conversation. I'm hoping maybe Lynn can do a whole session on just what people mean by the body. I love body work. I'm being receiving body work. I go to another plane and feel some sort of connection. But I too always resist, where do you feel it in your body? And sometimes I'll make it up because I have to be a good patient, or I force it in some way. And when I hear the question, sometimes I even disassociate because it's so complex to me. That's really what I want to say. So I appreciate, Liz, you putting it out there, and I have the hope that we will spend a lot more time on this whole area.
Yes, June here. And I would like to add to that, if I can, that having an aging body is not easy. And I would like to have some time spent with that, because either if we're not ourselves aging in this group, I'm sure we all know someone who is. So I think it would be a useful session on changes and difficulties, right? With changing body. Like, who is this body, right? Or where is my body that I knew?
Sophie. Oh, somebody else talked.
I was going to say something, but Sophie, please go ahead.
Okay. There's so many threads here that I would love to follow. I'm a little bit, there's excitement and also a little of what, so many threads. I know we're following the thread. Lots of threads. And in the so many thread, I do feel there is a place in me that feels pained by, and this is not new, and when there's so many threads, so many of us and a we, it's very hard for everyone to be acknowledged. And even the we that is maybe implicit in the explicit. So it's good to acknowledge that. And that's one way that I settle myself in the body, by standing up for myself in ways that it could show up as a smile, or it could show up as speaking up, or it could show up as putting a hand on somebody else's back, having their back, or taking a glass of water. So my voice can be clearer. And I always remember times when I work with toddlers, abused and neglected toddlers and their families. And there was a lot of unsettled bodied and bodies and reactions. And there were ways where being in the physical reality of the body really helped. And it can take many different forms. Sometimes it was containing, sometimes it was giving space, making a safe space. And for a young body angry, for example, it meant pillows and no sharp objects. So wanted to say that to Rachel, that sometimes being in the body is also helped by somebody else showing or mirroring or showing something in their bodies that is settled. Because it's true, sometimes it doesn't feel safe for whatever we have experienced. Thank you.
I'm wondering if, Sophie, that was a beautiful last statement. I'm wondering if we could end our conversation here and take a couple of breaths and then maybe comment on what we made here in this conversation. Where did we go for our walk? There were many strands. And I just want to say, because I lost my internet, so I didn't get to say it, the issue of the body is so important. And it is very complex because we're not talking so much about the physical body, but the sense. And when Pauline said that she could feel what it would be like to be held by Kevin, I could feel that so physically. It's sort of a palpable feeling. a sensuality rather than maybe what we associate with the body. But at any rate, that statement went with the conversation. But let's take a couple of breaths and step back a little bit. Maybe you even want to move back in your chair. And let's have a few comments about this whole experience of taking this walk together this morning, of our practice of relating. How was it different than the way we usually are, or was it the way we usually are as help the helpers? So we have about 7 or 8 minutes just to process what we did. Anybody is welcome.
It seemed calmer to me, and there seemed to be more room for people to speak.
I have a couple of thoughts. Yeah, I think it was partly taking time to listen. But I think maybe that's what Gray is thinking about. I want to respond briefly to Liz because I also find it kind of where we're asked, oh, where do you feel that in your body is a little too directive. And I like pausing. I prefer to say pausing rather than the body. And to come into the present experience in this moment, wherever you find it, whether there's a body or, and it's also how we're together and listening, right? So it isn't just going into our body, but being in response to this body, right? And I think that there were some very lovely comments made today, and each one of them I think did carry, maybe not all, but many of the flow of our being together. But it's not just the body's a little too concrete sometimes. Jean talked about an edge, finding an edge, which he said the edge was the belt center. And for that, we need to slow down, pause, sense. The bodies could be distracting. I kind of agree with Liz on that. But that's just I'm combining, summing up our experience together and a response to Liz.
I don't know if this is responsive to your question, Lynn, but I just wanted to thank everybody, but thank you, Kevin, for what you said about the holding of your grandchild. And also what was said, sorry, it's very hard to follow the little squares of everybody, but what was said about wanting to be held that way. That to me feels like a very new way of relating, and such a needed way. Even great affection or great praise, there's sort of an aggression towards the other, in that there's an activity or an imposition. Oh, I love you so much. Da, 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 da. And this being a space and allowing and inviting the other to find its way with a baby, an infant, and with a person or an animal, to to just be the space and allow it to birth itself in a way, or something you say, grow into itself. That is such a wonderful sort of non-manipulative, non-aggressive, Gandhi-like, I think, way of being in the world. And I feel like, wow, if we could be that way in the world, it would be an entirely different world. everything would be different, you know. So I just love, thank you for saying that. And I love having that just to be with and let it kind of birth itself in me, what that could be like in my life and in my relating to others. So thank you.
Hi everybody. This is Shashi. I'm in India these days. I just came to my my country, my home, and it's been so good to be part of this conversation. And I feel like we all are like weavers carrying our threads and making a tapestry, but a design is so abstract that we all have to make our own design. And it's okay not to know what it is. Right? It's okay if we don't know yet. But there is feeling that we're all struggling in it. It's, it feels good. I'm so glad that I joined in today. Yes.
I'm so glad you're here, Sashi. And I had the image of this tapestry that we're making, and all of you answering the question, what was the conversation about? And I think we might have many different answers, and then we could thread them together. So if you want to email me about what you think the conversation, what you sense the conversation was about, we'll send it out to you next week, what people said. Okay, I think it's time for our poem. Thank you all so much. I love this conversation.
Okay. And I'm thinking that I want to find your poem, The Thread. Maybe we can read it soon.
Yes, we will.
Good. What we're reading today is from Mary Oliver, which I feel has a wonderful energy to it, to match maybe the energy that we grew today. Such singing in the wild branches. It was.
5 minutes.
Oh,
sorry.
It was spring, and finally I heard him among the first leaves. Then I saw him clutching the limb in an island of shade with his red-brown feathers all trim and neat for the new year. First, I stood still and thought of nothing. Then I began to listen. Then I was filled with gladness, and that's when it happened. When I seemed to float, to be myself, a wing or a tree, and I began to understand what the bird was saying. And the sands in the glass stopped for a pure white moment while gravity sprinkled upward, like rain rising. And in fact, it became difficult to tell just what it was that was singing. It was the thrush for me, but it seemed not a single thrush, but himself and all his brothers, and also the trees around them, as well as the gliding long-tailed clouds in the perfectly blue sky. All of them were singing. And of course, yes, so it seemed, so was I. Such soft and solemn and perfect music doesn't last for more than a few moments. It's one of those magical places wise people like to talk about. One of the things they say about it that is true is that once you've been there, you're there forever. Listen, everyone has a chance. Is it spring? Is it morning? Are there trees near you? And does your own soul need comforting? Quick then, open the door and fly on your heavy feet. The song may already be drifting away.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. And we'll see you all next week. Have a wonderful week, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye
you.
all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.